Have you ever wondered if everything you know about yourself and the world around you is a carefully constructed illusion? Imagine that there is ancient knowledge, silenced for centuries, that could completely change the way you understand your purpose, your essence, and your true potential. Are you ready to uncover the truths they have tried to hide from you? Millennia ago, profound and revolutionary treatises were written that addressed the true nature of humanity, challenging the conventional notions of the time. These works, linked to neo-Gnostic ideas, proposed that we are much more than what we perceive at first glance, multi-dimensional beings with immense spiritual potential. Far from being mere philosophical reflections, these texts offered a vision that could transform the understanding of what it means to be human. However, their impact was so disruptive that they were quickly labeled as heresy. Their content clashed with dominant doctrines, both religious and political, leading to their censorship and near total eradication. Only a few fragments managed to survive the passage of time and the flames of intolerance, among them the celebrated texts of the Nag Hammadi Library and the Dead Sea Scrolls. These relics of ancient wisdom represent mere remnants of knowledge that once illuminated inquisitive and defiant minds. But this loss of knowledge was not a random act. Behind its disappearance was a carefully orchestrated strategy by those in power. Both religious authorities and political rulers of the time understood that the ideas contained in these texts had the potential to dismantle the structures that granted them control. They knew that if people came to understand their spiritual complexity and intrinsic diversity, they would be less likely to accept imposed norms and hierarchies without questioning them. Spiritual diversity and self-knowledge, proposed as pillars in these writings, were perceived as a direct threat to control systems. A society aware of its uniqueness and inner richness is not easily manipulated or subdued. In this sense, the destruction of these texts was not only aimed at eliminating ideas, it was an attempt to erase entire modes of being and thinking, thus limiting individuals' ability to recognize themselves as more than mere pieces in a standardized system. These actions reflect a deep fear: the transformative power of knowledge. Despite attempts at annihilation, the fragments that remain invite us to reflect on what was lost and to question how much more could lie behind the stories we have been told. If these texts had survived in their entirety, how would our perception of humanity be today? In the ancient Gnostic vision, the material world was created not to empower humanity, but to imprison it. This concept is attributed to the Demiurge, an entity described as a cosmic jailer, responsible for designing an illusory world that distracts humanity from higher truths. The Demiurge is not alone. The Archons, his assistants, act as guardians of the system, limiting not only our physical existence but also our minds and spirits. These entities feed on our ignorance and suffering, perpetuating a cycle of unfulfilled desires and unanswered questions. This system of control manifests not only externally through institutions and structures, but also internally, shaping our perceptions and beliefs to make us accept reality as unique and absolute. From ancient Persia to Hindu mysticism and Jewish Kabbalah, various spiritual traditions have spoken about the spiritual diversity of humanity. These teachings suggest that we are not all made of the same essence. In Persia, there was talk of souls of fire, transformative energies capable of creating and destroying. In Hindu philosophy, the gunas represent three fundamental qualities: light, inertia, and fire, reflecting the variety of energies that shape our essence. Kabbalah, in turn, describes human beings as vessels of divine sparks, fragments of a higher realm. These visions share a common message. Understanding our true nature is the first step towards liberation from the labels and limitations imposed by society. The knowledge of spiritual diversity was not only revealing but profoundly transformative. Its danger lay in its ability to empower people in a way that challenged existing power structures. If each individual came to understand their unique essence, whether as a being of light, a spirit deeply connected to the earth, or a fiery soul of creativity and passion, control systems based on uniformity and obedience would be weakened. A society aware of its inner wealth and spiritual potential would be much less susceptible to manipulation or domination. The ancient guardians of this knowledge understood the enormous power these truths held. They knew that in the wrong hands or taken out of context, these ideas could be used for purposes opposite to those originally intended. Thus, they chose to protect this wisdom, resorting to symbols, metaphors, and coded texts that could only be understood by those with the dedication and discernment to decipher their hidden messages. This effort to preserve knowledge was no easy task. Throughout the centuries, those who sought to destroy these teachings did so fervently, fearing their ability to sow doubt in the foundations of their authority. However, despite persecutions, burned texts, and eradicated schools of thought, this wisdom never completely disappeared. Fragmented and often incomplete, it survived in the form of oral traditions, esoteric practices, and written remnants that have been passed down from generation to generation. This knowledge was not just a set of ideas, but an invitation to look beyond the illusions imposed by social and cultural structures. Its legacy remains latent, waiting to be rediscovered by those who have the courage to question appearances and seek deeper answers. In every symbol, in every veiled teaching, lies a message directed at those who wish to explore their own truth and embrace the diversity of their being. The question that arises is, are we ready to rediscover this knowledge and accept the implications of its truth? Its recovery requires courage, patience, and the willingness to break with the limits others have imposed on our perception of who we are and what we can become. The simple act of questioning what we are taught about our identity and purpose is a step toward liberation. Rediscovering this hidden knowledge allows us to break a cycle that has kept humanity trapped for centuries. We are much more than what the physical world and its structures make us believe. By exploring our spiritual essence and accepting our diversity, we can begin to build a richer and more conscious vision of what it means to be human. Each of us has a unique spark, an inner fire capable of transforming and illuminating. This ancient, hidden, and silenced knowledge reminds us that we are far more complex and powerful than we were taught to believe. The search for truth, though challenging, is always worthwhile. By questioning illusions and exploring our essence, we can take meaningful steps toward a more authentic and fulfilling life. Thank you for reaching the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like it, share it with your friends so they can also learn something new, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. Activate the notification bell to receive alerts every time we upload a new video. And, of course, leave me a comment below. What do you think about today's topic? I'd love to hear your perspective. See you in the next video.